So we are going to be creating a gradient using acrylic paints. Usually you would want to be painting on a canvas, but of course if that's not an option for you, you can also paint on cardboard. Just paint it white, let it dry, then paint on top of it. Or you can use regular drawing paper. This is what I have right here, and I'll be showing it to you. This is not the best material to use, but if it's what you have, then it should work in a pinch. Just keep in mind that not to add too much paint to it, or it will start ripping your paper. Alright, so this is our paper. Again, regular drawing paper. We're going to be having some paints here. These are the apple barrel, and they're about $1 or $1.50 at like a local store, craft store, Walmart or something like that. So you can get quite a few colors. We're going to be using 4 different colors to create a sunset. And the last thing you're going to need is a brush. It's best to get the bristle kind that have a wide head right here. You can also use a foam one. Now I'm going to be putting the paints directly onto the page, going from light to dark. And then at the bottom, I'm going to end up putting in some mountains just to give it, a sunset look. If you don't have the colors that you need right on hand and you can't pour them right out of the tube, you can also mix them on a piece of cardboard paper, like a palette if you don't have one of those. So I'm just going to start off by just laying out the color right on top here. So like I said, lightest is going to go at the top, and then I'm going to have my orange down here. And then pink. Obviously you can use whatever colors you'd like. It does not have to be these colors. And then purple is going to come down here at the bottom. Now again, I'm using regular drawing paper, so it's not going to be as good as a canvas. So don't put too much paint on, or you could end up soaking through your paper. I'm going to start up here with the lightest color, and I'm just going to pick up the paint on my brush, and I'm going to go back and forth like this, bringing it down, trying to get full coverage. I've also put tape on the sides, as you probably can see, just to help create clean lines. Okay, once I have my yellow, I'm going to go down here and pick up some of the orange, and I'm going to start going into that yellow to try to blend them together. Again, I'm just using the back and forth motion. And I don't want to go too far into the yellow, or else I'll lose that yellow. So that's about right. And then I'm going to go back into the orange, get the sides. The trick is to go back and forth in between the colors when they're wet. That way they blend together. Now I feel like I have a little bit too much orange to go into the pink. It might overpower it, so I'm just going to wipe off some of that on my piece of cardboard. You can also dip this in a thing of water. But I don't like to get my paints too wet, so I just wiped off on cardboard. Next, pick up a little bit of that pink and do the same thing that you did with the yellow and the orange. Just start bringing it into that orange, picking up some of that orange color, and then moving it back down to try to blend them together. Again, just using that back and forth motion. Now you might see that my paper is starting to buckle, and that is because it is paper and not a canvas. So when paper gets wet, it tends to wrinkle. All right, And next is my last one. I'm going to pick up a little bit of purple, not too much, because this purple's really dark, so just want enough to try to blend in that pink a little bit. And some colors blend a little bit better than others. Obviously this purple's kind of dark, so as long as you go back and forth, it should blend all right. I didn't try these colors out beforehand, so obviously these ones, this pink and this purple, kind of make more of like a brownish color. Probably because the purple's so dark. And that's about it. Now you can go back and add a little bit more color in different areas if you feel like it's not blending enough. You can always rinse off your brush in some water. Make sure if you're using, actually all the time, make sure that you're always wiping off that brush, trying to get as much of the excess water out of it as you can. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more. Now again, I'm being very careful because I know that this is paper and it will rip if I put too much paint on there. So if you have a canvas, you can go nuts and add as much paint as you want. It usually helps though if you let it dry though. So, and then you can layer on top of it. All right, so then I'm gonna let this dry for a little bit. Once your painting is dry, what you can do is take either black paint or a Sharpie, and you can just go in and draw whatever you would like to be part of your silhouette. And then you would just shade it in. And then after you've gotten your black in there, you can take off the tape. Again, this is paper, so there is a chance that the tape will stick, especially if you're using just regular Scotch tape and not painter's tape. So you want to make sure that if you do have something just like regular Scotch tape, you have to be careful because it might rip your paper. If it does start ripping, you can just cut off the border edges. And you won't have this white area, but you can still just cut off around where the tape is. And when you're done, you are left with a pretty decent gradient.